MMA. I'm your host, Uber Mike. Bag Grab, Episode 1. Basically, the channel explains it all. We're just using MMA, whether that's via betting, playing DraftKings, FanDuel, or the Super Draft product, anything in regards to making money off this upcoming slate, which is UFC Vegas 29, Dan Ige versus Korean Zombie. I'm just here to break down my favorite 9K, 8K, 7K, and 6K plays for DraftKings, because that's where a lot of the prize pools are. And FanDuel is an absolute trash product, even though I keep playing on it. So that says a lot about me, and I don't know anything about Super Draft. So as I get better with FanDuel and Super Draft, I'll see if I'll add it on here if y'all are interested in that thing. But the main play is DraftKings and betting, of course. Remember to gamble legally, be responsible, but if you're a degenerate and you want to toss all your money on this card, then be my guest. Other than that, I'm going to go through each 9K, 8K, like I mentioned before, tell you my favorite plays. This is going to be quick, to the point. You leverage this how you want to leverage this. You make it how you want to make it. If you want to like, you want to subscribe, you want to comment, do all that stuff as well. And then the final preliminary is this is recorded and posted before weigh-ins. So do be on the lookout for that, because there's a lot of cancellations and stuff that happens, and on fight day as well, because you don't want to be having a big old goose egg sitting in your lineup and you're just giving money away to these for-profit companies. Doesn't make any sense. Anywho, let's get to the business. So 9K, I love Sergey Spivak. I'm going to put him everywhere. Alexei Oleinik is aging like milk. He has about a round and a half of gas. He throws these loopy, ugly punches, and I feel like he submits, or he gets the best of low-level heavyweights. And I'm not saying Sergey Spivak is up there, but if you look at his last 2 or 3 bouts, everything's checking out. He's improving from fight to fight. And if you looked at his fight against Carlos Felipe Boy, his striking looks good, looks quick. If you looked at his last fight against Jared Veneta, or it was some Dana White Contender Series guy or something, his striking looked fine, and when he was on top, he was just laying punishment. I think he's training at Extreme Couture now, and why I mentioned that, it was before he was training at some Polish gym or something like that, and it's just not a good product, man. Get with the real, which what Sergey is doing, and just get it done. So a lot of people, I feel like if you're rostering Oleinik, it's more of a feelings thing, like, hey, this guy's been a long time, you have this whole nostalgia feel, but cut to the chase, man. I think Sergey smashes Oleinik. I think Oleinik is getting his walking papers, or he's probably going to be fed to another contender. I think Oleinik should hang it up. He has a daughter. He has a wife. He doesn't need any more of this. But anyway, I like Sergey Spivak, like him a lot. I'm going to put him everywhere, and you do with that as you may. Next guy I like, Diego Lima at 9K. I get it. Diego Lima, low volume, hasn't really impressed, especially in that Bilal Muhammad bout. Didn't really look good against pressure. But I'm not scared of Matt Brown. Matt Crinkety Brown. I'm sorry. This is like the Oleinik thing that I was talking about, but this is just a lot of just holding on to the past. Matt Brown gave us a lot of entertaining fights and stuff, but the game is, what have you done for me lately? And all Matt Brown has done in his last 3 bouts, besides the Ben Saunders bouts, is stunk up the place. Low volume, slow. When he does try to come forward to go crazy like he did against Miguel Baeza, his chin can't hold up. On top of that as well, if he does try to work any sort of steady game plan, or you go grappling intensive, I don't trust it either. Look at the Carlos Condit bout. Like, Carlos Condit is a wrestler's wet dream in regards to facing that kind of opponent. And Condit was out scrambling Matt Brown, and even took Matt Brown down a couple of times. Matt Brown, to me, is a done product, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean that in an expired way that needs to go to the trash can ASAP. And even though Diego Lima did show chin issues in the past, I just like his process. I like how he works the underhooks. I like his calf kicks. I like how he works his boxing as well. And he said some really dumb stuff in regards to, if I meet Matt Brown in the middle, I'm going to bang him out. If Diego Lima fights the way he fights, circle, wait for the counters and stuff, he finishes Matt Brown. Matt Brown is rinkety-dinkety. And if you're rostering Matt Brown, I just feel like you're just hoping that he can turn back the clock. But this is 2021, not 2015. So in that regard, I'm going with Diego Lima. I think he gets it done. As you could tell with these 9K guys, I'm going after these old dudes. And yeah, that's that. So anyway, we're going to move on to 8K. Sung Woo Choi at 8,600. So with Sung Woo Choi, I'm going to give some props to Julian Erosa. This fight will be close, in my opinion, and it just comes down to who can implement their will. And even though Julian Erosa has been looking good in his last two bouts, the Sean Woodson bout, when he started turning up on him and putting that volume on him, real impressive. And then the Nate Landwehr bout, when he landed that flying knee, impressive as well. But then there's always this thing in the back of my mind of Julian Erosa being super hittable, especially like before his second run in the UFC that he's currently in. If you looked at him against Javante Smith, Julio Arce, any of that stuff, that chin is there to be cracked. And with Sung Woo Choi doesn't come without his issues, because if Julian Erosa decides to come in with a grappling heavy game plan or something, that could cause Sung Woo Choi issues, but he seemed to improve upon that from the Yusuf Salah bout. And on top of that, I just like how Sung Woo Choi stands his ground and commands the center. And I haven't seen him wobbled or hurt or anything crazy like that in the UFC. I know people talk about he got hurt or wobbled in like a past fight in the regionals, but I don't give a damn about that. Like, unless it's happening recently, I don't really like put too much credence to it. Anyway, with Sung Woo Choi, I like how he stands his ground. I like how he commands the middle. And I feel like if Julian Erosa wants to come in and start getting pressury and lay volume on Sung Woo Choi, I think it's going to give Sung Woo Choi opportunities to crack Julian Erosa. And I still have questions about that chin. So the reason why I like this play is that a potential KO. But if Sung Woo Choi is taking the back foot, or if Sung Woo Choi can't crack or kill Julian Erosa, and that volume is starting to take a toll on Sung Woo Choi's cardio and his overall output, then it's trouble for him. I respect Julian Erosa in this regard. He's definitely not a Matt Brown. He's definitely not an Alexei Oleinik. But in this regard, it's just more I'm testing that chin and durability of Erosa in this regard. So Sung Woo Choi at 8,600. People, check him out. See how you want to roster him. The next guy I like is Joaquim Silva at 8,300. He's been out for about 2 years. And I know Rick Glenn has been out for 2 or 3 years as well. But I hate Rick Glenn's process. It is the most ugly looking thing I've ever seen. He has like this head bob. He throws a lot of volume, but it just seems, this is going to sound bad, this seems harmless. It just seems like he's just pitter-patting and stuff. And it can definitely drown you if you have like a Gavin Tucker moment and you just blow your wad and then that volume takes over. But if you're able to time your shots, Rick Glenn is quite hittable. His wrestling, even though he does shoot for takedowns, is not dependable. And even when he's on top of his opponent, it's not anything like heavy or he's consuming a lot of control time. I don't see none of the above in that regard. And the dude is super hittable. Like I mentioned, he was out 3 years. And when I did the research, I think I read something in regards to him having a hip surgery. So he was already rinkety-dinkety before taking the 3-year hiatus. And now rinkety-dinkety is going to come back in here and you want me to back that? Forget about it. Joaquim Silva, he's been out for 2 years. I don't really know the reason why, but I like this guy's power. I like his stand-up as well whenever he does get taken down. Like, he does a good job popping back up. And even though he won't be able to match Rick Glenn on the volume, I think the power shots from Joaquim Silva will win him minutes via optics. So what I'm saying is, let's say Rick Glenn goes pop, 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 pop with his little pitter-patter shots, and then Joaquim Silva hits him with a couple of bombs, and then the judges reward him that round. Obviously, he has to do that, in key moments within each given round, but I just feel like Joaquim Silva can make it count. And sometimes I don't put too much, weight into Instagram, but if you look at this guy's recent Instagram, you could tell he's coming into this fight ready to rock and roll. He looks good. He looks ready. Rick Glenn he just looks. I hate his process. Anyone who's backing him, go to the comment section, explain why you're backing him, explain why you see he can get it done, because I think his process is absolutely hideous, and I just think Joaquim Silva is going to take this bout by decision, possibly late TKO or so, just because of how hittable Rick Glenn is as well. And finally, the last 8K play I like is Dan Ige. Everyone's on Dan Ige this week. I'm not saying everyone. There's probably some people on Korean Zombie, but this guy, he fights for your money. He's at a really good price. He's had these step-up moments. I know he had it against Barboza. I thought he lost that fight. And also he had it against Cater, and he lost that bout. But I feel like third time's a charm in this regard against the Korean Zombie for Dan Ige. And I feel like he's taken those moments against Cater and who did I say? Cater and Barboza, and improved upon them. And with Korean Zombie, that last bout against Brian Ortega, or as the MMA subreddit says, Brian Big Cup Ortega, it gave me a lot of pause. He seemed off. His timing seemed off. He seemed to be a bit slowed down and stuff. Don't get me wrong. If Ige comes in here incorrect, Zombie can crack him. Zombie can hurt him. I'm going to give Zombie his respect. But I'm more going with the stock of Ige going up and the stock of Korean Zombie going down. Not saying this is a slam dunk for Ige, like I think Joaquim Silva is in regards to Rick Glenn, or I talked about the 9K fighters. But I feel like this is Ige's time, third time a charm, like I mentioned before, to come in, get the job done, and burst through that top echelon at 145. And in regards to the Korean Zombie, I'm just going all in on Ige. And if Korean Zombie kills him and I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Who gives a damn? So I like Ige. Let's go ahead to our 7K fighters. We have Kanako Murata at 7,800. This fight's going to be close. The only reason why I threw her in this 7K range, I definitely like her wrestling, even though Jana Roba's jiu-jitsu is no joke. And her scrambling ability is no joke. And that's if you reference her fight against Carla Esparza. And that's Jana Roba, who I'm referencing. But I like what Murata brings with the wrestling. I think her stand-up is a bit crisper, because when I watch the stand-up of Jana Roba, it's kind of loopy. It's kind of out there and stuff. And the only real concern with Murata here is that there's going to be that layer of danger in regards to what Jana Roba brings with her jiu-jitsu. And even though Murata, she will like use her top control. She will score and have control time and such. I mean, Jana Roba isn't no slouch, whether she's on top of Murata or on bottom. If Jana Roba gets on top of Murata, you're going to be holding your breath a bit because of just the skill level that she brings. But Murata, I have her in a couple of lineups, not in like the big contests, but in the smaller contests. And if she gets it done, she gets it done. I just like her striking. I think it's a bit more crisp, and I think if she times takedowns well, and I don't have any clue of how well her takedown defense is, because Jana Roba will go for takedowns, but I wasn't a big fan of Jana Roba's takedowns because they're kind of like they lack that oomph that you want to see. So yeah, if you want to add her to your underdog plays, then go ahead. She's not my strongest one, but she's interesting. Roque Martinez at 7,500. This fight against him and Josh Parisian is going to be the ugliest thing I'm ever seen in heavyweight history. And I know that's an overstatement, but I'm just saying as of recent, this is going to be a very, very, very sloppy fight. But then you're going to give me Josh Parisian at 88,700 on DK, and you're going to give me Roque Martinez at 7.5K, 7,500. Give me Roque Martinez. I just feel like the Romanov fight I'm going to throw out because I don't think Parisian has any sort of takedown process to his game. I did not see anything. He's real lumbering. He's real like wingy. He's just he's a mess, dude. He reminds me of like flapjacks. And you're like, what the hell are flapjacks? Just look him up. It's just something, it's like a sloppy pancake or something. And in regards to Roque Martinez, don't get me wrong, like his process, I didn't like how hesitant Roque was against Dontel Mays until the third round. When he started to turn it up, then you started to see the success. And I think Roque Martinez has the faster hands than Parisian. He may have the better cardio. Who knows? We'll have to see in this fight. I feel like this fight seriously comes down to who imposes their will first. And I feel like with the faster hands of Roque Martinez and that questionable ass gas tank of Josh Parisian, and I hate Josh Parisian's DK price. I think it's really dumb. And I just feel like if Roque just comes out here, lays the hands, dictates the pace, just doesn't sit back and wait or sit back and just watch, I feel like he can take this sloppy fight. Again, this is going to be close. It's going to be sloppy, but I like the value on Roque. I have him rostered in a couple of spots as well, and I'm going to be holding my breath until, Roque wins. Or if he loses, who gives a damn? This fight sucks, but I like Roque Martinez at 7,500. Next, Wellington Thurman at 7,400. This brother, he's facing named Bruno Silva. I think he's 8,800 or so on DraftKings. That dude is suspect as hell. He's been out for 2 years because he took some like PED or something. And on top of that as well, when you watch like his M1 bouts, when he gets grappled, like he kind of gets control, and he does this weird thing where if someone's coming forward at him and like laying like leather, he covers up and stuff. And I feel like that leaves you really, really open for the takedown. Now, Wellington Thurman needs to get his head out of his ass, and he needs to go grappling heavy. If he's boxing with Bruno Silva, I'm going to be pissed. I'm just going to be like, dude, you're going to get knocked out. Just wrestle. If he wrestles, he grapples, he tests that suspect cardio of Bruno Silva. He's been out for 2 years. And you're making your UFC debut. I'm liking Wellington Thurman a lot here just because just go with the wrestling. Fight this dude the way you fought Marcus Perez, and I could see him taking 2 rounds or so. But then if Wellington Thurman's out here and is trying to show off his new cardio kickboxing, Lord help us. But I think he gets the job done against Bruno Silva, the suspect. And finally, Matthew Selmesberger at 7,300. This fight's going to be dangerous. If you're rostering Selmesberger, there's that initial KO of Chaos Williams that's very, very, very live in play. And if you're on the Chaos Williams side, I don't blame you. Just the value on Selmesberger at 7,300 is good. Similar to Roque, except with Roque, I don't really see that element of danger with Parisian. It's just more of like Roque like initiating and getting his game off before Parisian does. But with Selmesberger, there is that element where he has to fight smart. He has to be defensively responsible so he doesn't get killed by any of those Chaos Williams punches. And I just feel like if this fight extends, then Selmesberger will be winning the minutes. I liked how his boxing looked, even though it was like a 13-second fight. His boxing looked crisper against Jason Witt compared to his first fight against Carlton Minus. On top of that as well, I like the takedown process that he brings in this as well. And Chaos Williams, even though he has power, his technique is sort of sloppy. And in that third round in the Pereira fight, you saw how susceptible he was to getting taken down. Now, did Chaos Williams shore that up? It's a possibility. And if he did, then that makes this fight a lot more tougher for Selmesberger. But I just feel like if Selmesberger stays defensively responsible, doesn't die from that Chaos Williams power, I think he can get the job done. And I think he can score well. His price is really great for DK. And it's just going through that KO danger. Like he reminds me of Murata at 7,800, who I referenced. Murata has more of that submission danger from Jandiroba, and in this regard, Selmesberger just has that KO danger. And if you're going to roster, Selmesberger is just working through that and implementing your game. So we'll see how that goes. And then finally, at the 6K range, the fighters that I like, if you're watching this on the YouTubes, you'll see this Dana White laughing face. The 6K range is absolutely trash. I have no interest in this Nicholas kid who's a can crusher on the regional scene and looked like dog SHIT in his last UFC bout, which he took 2 years ago. To joke, if you're rostering him or Alexis Kamer is okay. But this 6,000 dude who's fighting, forget about it, dude. Don't even waste your time. Finally, my bets. I got on these lines kind of late because I like to really focus on my tape and stuff for DK and everything. And then after that, I will go into the betting lines. There was good value on Roque and Wellington Thurman, but that's already been gassed. And whatever little meat is left on the bone just isn't worth it with there's no value there, in my opinion. And I just created a 3-leg parlay of Sergey Spivak at minus 230, Diego Lima at minus 170. I like that he got bet down to minus 170 because of these Matt Brown backers. I don't know what the hell they're seeing, but we'll see who's right. We'll see who's wrong on Saturday. And Joaquim Silva at minus 130. Whatever. Yeah, if y'all want to know my unit size and all that stuff in regards to this bet, let me know. This is the first bag grab, episode 1. I just had to go through that real quick. Appreciate y'all listening to me. Let's spectate while our pockets accumulate. And I'm Uber Mike, and I'm out.